If you can at least just stop and say, I can change that. There's always another way. And if you can have that faith, and this is where me and James have really believe in that now, and know that there's always.
No, we know that. We know that now.
But this is how it works. Think, believe, and know.
I pick up so much stuff in my face of reactions, and I think, well, why did I slightly flinch there? What was it that, do you know what I mean? It's really interesting because it's coaching yourself to an extent, which is for me, after being coached by you, when I went into that course, I remember I said to you, I just need to know a bit more about me.
It's far from that at all. It's almost like, even if you haven't got problems, you need a coach. I always say that every single sports team, every sports player, every person that is successful will have someone guiding them in some way or another. You have a coach, if you're a director of a company, you have your contractors, you have your advisors to help you, to keep you accountable. Like it's that benefit of just going, like we coach each other, like it's
all the time, all the time.
Words are just one way of communicating, but for a kid, they don't normally understand it too much. So it's visual, it's the actions, it's the feeling that they're picking up on. And you could have an argument with your missus and that. Kid walks in and they're all smiling again, they can feel the energy. They know that something's up, that's not right.
I'm not ashamed to say, I'm proud to say, because I learned the lesson from it, that I had that ultimatum given to me by my wife when I had the business out in Greece. I was in Greece, I'd opened up the business, everything was going well, ego through the roof, and just going out drinking, because that was the cult. It wasn't my culture, but I allowed it to be the culture because of the people that was working for me, which again, terrible. I'm the boss, and we're going out. And like you said, I unfortunately am one of the people fall into the category of the type of person that won't remember, and there'll be whole periods of the night, and you know when you wake up the next morning and it's instant, and it's your soul wakes up the next morning, your ego's still your soul wakes up with that rotten feeling of what happened last night. Keep consistent with certain things. That my life experience at the moment is my wife's the one who's, like, as you know, Harry, our lives have literally somersaulted since we've been in Spain. My wife is working full time now, whereas it was the other way around. So I'm doing all the stuff at home and with the kids, and obviously we've had my mum over, then we've currently got my lovely in-laws over as well. And you realise life, and it's funny, it's not that it gets in the way, it is your life, it's your experience of what's going on. The negative ego, things are getting in the way, they're not, it's just okay.
And let me give an example for me. I got really bad situation, found myself in a cell in Tenerife from a drunken night out on a stag, and at that point I had to make some changes. Like whatever I was doing for the last however many years wasn't serving me, I wasn't happy, I got myself in trouble. I did things that I regretted. I don't remember a lot of my nights, and it was at the point where I've got to change. And another thing that you just got to look out the window, life changes all the time. It's always changing. You never capture the same moment ever, whatever happens in your life. If you left your front door open, something would come in it at some point. You then have to change what happens once it's in there. And people are resistant to change because they get to a point where they feel comfortable. When we don't go into that position, we then go into a stress state, and that's where stress and stuff can take over our lives. When you do cocaine, a lot of people say, I like the talking aspect, I like to be able to talk with my friends. What I believe is that it puts your ego, like drugs and alcohol, puts your ego, they're drunk. The ego's drunk, so now the soul can come through. It's to be taught, just literally to tell your story. And you're not worried because you're so out of it, you don't really care about how you feel with doing it, you just say it. And that just goes to show how much we need to tell our story and how much to speak. I walked away from my company after 12 years. And that was a big change, big decision, and it then led into me moving country as well. I think when you were speaking then, the change where I think is difficulty is when responsibility comes in your life, and I was responsible for a number of staff, customers, I have like, contractors, I have lots of people within just that element, and also 12 years, that was my baby, that was my identity there, but something in me knew that it wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. Sometimes we don't say it because we don't want the people we're speaking to hear. We don't want them to go through the pain that we're going through, or to worry your parents. Like some of the things I did, I'd be ashamed to tell my parents, like because they blame themselves then for their parenting from the things that I've got myself into. So this is why it's so important, I think, as well, to find communities, to find a platform, to find a coach, to be able to just go, wow, because if you don't, it eats away at you. There's certain things, when you brought up your subject, there's things you just forgot. You just bury it so much, but it's there, so it just pops up again.
The change you make 100% will make you happy, and that's what makes you happy. It's so simple once you actually start. The change will be as well. It will be a selfless change, because bettering yourself is being selfless, which is where people, I think, confuse things. If you're always trying to better yourself, you are being selfless. When I started, it was all shit that came out, to be honest. It was a flush. It was almost like, yeah, I had my colon done. It was just poof, everything was flushed out. And then what started to come out was, and again, that's why I say about making them aware of what they're saying, because that's what it needs for me. I need to be aware of, rather than just having the thoughts up here, I had the chance to get these out. About things, again,
this whole talk's not about don't do cocaine, you're a really bad person, you do it. No, it's the opposite. It's if you're doing it, it's fine, but it's to bring more awareness to it. But also, how many people regret the next day? How many people are laying in bed going, why have I done that again? How many people are spending a shitload of money on something that then they forget their whole night on? And this is the whole thing about developing ourselves, is that we can spend the same money, or even half the amount, just to make us feel better. My mates are my mates, and they're laddie lads, and when I stopped drinking, and that whole world changed, and I couldn't tell them, man up, grow up, you're so boring. Like, that's what you get met with. But it was that choice of, like, I don't want to go through the stuff that I've been through so many times before. So it's then seeking people that don't know you. And then all of a sudden you start meeting these new people in your life that are very similar journeys to you. Your friends will always be your friends, and that's okay too. And also, they're entitled to do whatever they want also. But what happens is after a while, your actions will start being used to other people. That's who you become.